Hi, Gwen.
Karina, I'm going to run it today. Amber's on the road right now, coming back to Portland.
No problem. I got you as the co-host. We are all ready to go, so you can start on time.
Awesome.
I guess we've been having a lot of issues with eScribe, so.
You know, we don't have any action items today. There's no voting.
Oh, that's right.
So I think all we have to do is take roll. That's probably the most eScribe interaction we'll have. Yeah, we just have to take minutes otherwise.
Well, perfect. Yes, that's right. I forgot we're not doing any motion, so I'm lucky.
Easy.
Thank you, Gwen.
Okay, it looks like we've got some critical mass here and it's 1:30. So we're ready to go, Karina, in terms of YouTube streaming and everything?
Yes, we're ready to go.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay. I'm going to call Parks and Conservation to order. Newly elected Chair Amber Sherrill is not able to attend and run the meeting, so I'm going to run it for her. It's January 5th, 2022, and this is Parks and Conservation Committee for the City of Missoula. We are still having virtual meetings, and you can either join this meeting virtually to provide public comment by going to the city website, to the meetings and agenda page, finding this meeting and clicking on the link. You can always send us an email at ci.missoula.mt.us, and you can always call us to leave a message. I don't have that number in front of me, but you can call in to attend. The number is 253-215-8782. Okay, so if we could do roll call attendance, that would be great, Karina.
Okay. Anderson.
Present.
Becerra. Okay, I don't see Mirta. Carlino.
Present.
Contos.
Here.
Hess.
Present.
Jones.
Present.
Jordan.
Present.
Nugent.
Here.
Savage.
Here.
Cheryl. She is absent. Vaseka.
Present.
West.
Present.
Okay. All right, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. We have minutes from December 15th, 2021. Were there any changes to those minutes? Seeing none, those will stand approved, and I'll call for public comment on items not on the agenda. But we have no one in the attendees room. Okay, so today we just have one item of business today. It's the master fee schedule for facility use, reservations, permits, and programs for 2022. I see we've got several people from Parks here, and Shirley, I think, are you kicking this off? This is
I am. I just brought backup.
Okay. Great. I would add that we are not taking action on this today, but this is an informational meeting to gather information, ask questions, but we're not voting on anything today. Take it away, Shirley.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm always elated when it happens. So this is a public process we go through every year, and I'd like to kind of walk you through our process of how we develop fees and give you some background information to begin with, since we have a lot of new council members on board. The master fee schedule for facilities, reservations, contracts, permits, and programs for 2022 was the document that was attached to the referral. And essentially, this documents the foundation for all of our rentals and reservations and fees in general. We are required by law, by Montana law, to hold a public hearing to enact fee increases. And the process that we go through each and every year is to inform and review with the user groups the proposed fees and the changes. We take them to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and the advisory board actually reviews all of our policy along with the fees, and adopts the the fees or changes or makes changes at that time. And this year they did make a few changes, and I'm going to bring those forward to you today. And then we review with the County Parks and Trails Open Space Advisory Board in terms of the changes that are happening at Fort Missoula. That's a partnership that we manage the facility for the county, or the county portion of the facility, and manage it as one park. We also bring it here to do a review, and then the public hearing will be Monday night. So generally, why we charge fees. Most of our fees are connected to services we provide that are normally that are beyond normal maintenance practices. So we have a base level of maintenance, and anything above and beyond that, we charge a fee to provide. So to develop the fees, we include an analysis of wages, supplies, requested services, and some utilities directly associated with those facilities. I tried to pull out some specific examples. So when someone makes a softball field reservation, the expectation is that they're going to get a prepped field, which includes the foul lines are painted, the infield is dragged and chalked, they have access to lights, and there's a staff there for assistance. When we do shelter reservations, it helps with planning. It's amazing the diversity of use that the shelters get, from reunions, birthday parties, celebrations of life, weddings, fundraisers, fun runs, the list goes on and on. And the expectation is when a group shows up for a reserved time, the shelter's clean, garbage is reasonably serviced, the restrooms are clean and accessible. And the last example I picked was the special use permit. To date, we're probably doing around 300 special use permits a year all over the system. And the expectation from users is that there'll be no conflicts with other events on that day in those facilities. And so the facility is reserved and prepped for their event, and the event goes on without a hitch. So why do we charge fees? To give you a little bit of background. In general, fees increase our ability to serve more residents by expanding capacity. It allows increased value or quality of service provided, and it also reduces conflict or challenges because we have folks registered and reserved into the sites. So we found that very useful over the years. We've conducted a number of statistically valid surveys, and we've learned the majority of Missoula taxpayers express a great deal of satisfaction and support for parks facilities, the trails, the recreation programs, and all the opportunities we provide. But what they've also indicated is that while they support the overall mission and opportunities, they'd like to see that those who are directly benefiting from the use of facilities and services pay for those additional costs through user fees. If it were up to my altruistic self, there'd be no fees for programs or facilities because the services are so valuable to our residents. But on the other hand, my practical and professional self that just got their tax bill a few weeks back, I understand the need to offset the budget and set reasonable expectations for use. So why we increase fees? Basically, we're dealing with what everybody else is dealing with right now. Inflation is really problematic. And the rising cost of doing business is in the forefront. We've got supply shortages along with increased costs across the board, anywhere from 10 to 25% plus, with all of our supplies, office, all of our operating supplies, gasoline, any of our repair supplies. It's problematic. Purchase services, they have or will increase: natural gas, electricity, water, telephone, wastewater, licensing dues, software contracts, and professional maintenance services are all increasing. Our staffing costs, particularly, it's particularly a challenge for providing reasonable wages so we can recruit and retain quality employees who in turn provide the services, the extra services that we provide through the department. So fees or prices, or the price paid, determines who can play, participate, or reserve a facility. Small incremental regular fee increases are more acceptable to users and residents than big jumps. The proposed fees for pools don't fully cover the costs related to inflation, but it will certainly help. Please keep in mind that the Missoula city residents are eligible to receive a 20% discount on most programs and for access to Currents and Splash. So in general, fees are a regressive system. Increasing fees usually affects those who can little afford to pay higher prices. So in order to retain a high level of access to our community, we continually work to maintain a robust scholarship program where families and individuals self-identify their financial need and apply for scholarships to programs and/or admissions. This program needs additional support based on the use we've seen over the past 2 years. Any questions on any of the why we charge fees?
Sandra.
I had a question about the 20% discount. So I just my 9-month-old and I just did the like Mommy and Me swim class at Currents, and which was really fun, by the way, and very beneficial. But to get that discount, I had to pay more upfront to prove that get the card that I was a resident, and my driver's license with my Missoula residence would not work. So I was just kind of wondering the background on that.
Yeah, we ask for people to bring in some kind of current utility bill because you can drive on a license that is not up to date with your address. It does cost $1, and the dollar basically pays for the card that you get. So, and a little bit of the staff time to facilitate that. But it's renewed every year. So.
Okay, and just to clarify, from what I remember when she explained, I have to pay, is it $2 every year to renew it, or $1 every year?
It's $1 every year.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks. And Shirley? Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Shirley. Did you have something else to add to that? I had a question otherwise.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Zoom timing here. Here we are.
Yeah.
The last section here, it talks about basically the scholarship program needing additional support. Certainly would make sense with what's happened in the last 2 years in our world and income inequity, et cetera. I'm wondering if Parks has a plan or thoughts on that, and that's included later in the presentation as to how to provide that additional support, or if you haven't gotten there yet in your thought process, but you spotted it as a need.
Yes, it's definitely a need, and we're doing another big push, a marketing push on our license plate. We get a good deal of money from the Zootown license plate. The Zootown template was donated by Monty Dolak, and you see them around town. We get $20 for every license plate that is purchased, so with the registration fee, and that adds a significant amount of money to our scholarship program. So we're going to push that, you know, and everything else is just a challenge. It's fundraising, it's sponsorships, it's a dollar each time. We're getting ready to do our dollar day sales, and all the dollar day sales for lost and found items go into the scholarship fund. So, and we do have a lot of generous sponsors that provide income every year to help with the scholarship fund. So
Great. Thanks for that background. I appreciate it.
okay, so I'm going to dive into the fee changes here, and I warn you, there's a lot of them. So, and a lot of it is just math. So I'm just going to try to highlight stuff so we have time to talk about it afterwards. Okay. So the softball fields generally will increase 5%. They're going to increase 10%. The field costs. McCormick lights 20%, Fort lights 10%, and prep fees 10%. So they'll increase the McCormick and Fort softball fields will increase from $1,875 to $2,075. And then lights at McCormick will increase from $10 to $12. The lights are old, they need to be replaced. And they cost, we saw a 30% jump in our electric bill last year. So it was significant. So it's interesting that now with the lights, it's less expensive to rent a Fort field, which are brand new, as opposed to our older McCormick fields. So, and then the prep fee is all inclusive in wage, and that goes from $52 an hour to $54 or $54.50. The league rates will increase. The league, generally they play 4 games, so we charge them for 4 hours versus the 5 hours that they're there, because they have a 15-minute break in between games. The league rates will go from $145.75 to $164.50, and that'll include the light increases, as well as the wages for staff. Tournament fees are essentially based on a 10-hour day for softball. We do offer tournaments because we have people that want to play at McCormick and have no prep fees. So we do have that option that they don't have to rent a prepped field. So let's see. So the prep field will increase from $260 a day to $289.25 a day, which includes 2 preps, one full prep in the morning and then a quick prep in the afternoon. Generally, you'll see tournaments start playing at 8 or 9 o'clock, and they'll play through the day and end at 10:30 at night. So any games after 6 p.m., we assess a one-time per hour staff fee, and that'll increase from $17.25 to $18 an hour. Baseball and softball fields at Playfair Park will increase from $13.50 to $14.75 for adult use and $7.75 to $8.50 per hour for youth. So this next one is a little shocking, and let me just run through that, and then I'll explain the turf working group. We put together a turf working group, and the group recommended to adopt a higher maintenance for the fields, which increased their field price 52%. So Playfair, it will increase $16.75 to $18.50, and basically the all day rates are based on a 10-hour day. So the turf working group was essentially put together to increase communication so we could understand the what our turf users out at the fort understand their expectations and their desired outcomes. So we, over an 8-month period, we met almost once a month, and it was a facilitated process. So staff really didn't participate. We were there listening to them work through the process. The group included youth and adult rugby, soccer, lacrosse, and ultimate frisbee. So we had a broad cross section of people in this group. Through a professional turf audit, it was determined that our current maintenance practices on those fort fields and the hours that we were using them, our maintenance level was at 3.17 on a scale from 1 to 5. It needed to be a 4.25 just to maintain the fields per the use they were getting. So we went back, and TJ Machado, the developed parks superintendent, did a lot of number crunching, and it was determined that in order to meet those expectations, we would need another staff and a piece of equipment. They instituted the recommendations from the turf audit last year and saw really positive results, but how they instituted it was with a borrowed piece of equipment from the cemetery. So there was always scheduling conflicts, as well as deferred maintenance in other areas. They were pulling people off, their staff off other projects and jobs to specifically fertilize the fields. So not sustainable. So the group actually, the turf working group recommended that we increase the fees to help pay for a maintenance worker that was dedicated to this maintenance regime. So the larger fields, the fort fields, the 11v11 fields will go from $21 to $32 an hour. The 7v7 field, $15.75 to $24 an hour. And then our youth fields, the 60 by 90 will increase only 10%, $13 to $14.50 an hour. The rugby pitch will increase 30%, $26 to $34 an hour. And then the Bella Vista synthetic turf will increase from $41.50 to $50.25 per hour. We're finding that the virgin rubber that we use as the infill breaks down more easily than the stuff that has a lot of chemicals in it. So we're finding that we have to replace the rubber in the infill more often than we thought we were going to have to. So that basically is going to help offset the cost of that. All day tournament rates are basically the field rate times 10 hours. So, and we do work with tournaments if they don't do 10 hours. So it's not a flat rate. So I don't normally bring policies to you guys, but I wanted to share a policy that we developed for developmental programs. Just because of the huge fee increase for the rectangle fields, we developed a fee discount for youth as well as adults that meet all the criteria that are designed specifically for inclusion, and they wouldn't otherwise have access. They would also be eligible for the discount. So essentially, basically, they need to be nonprofit, in good standing with us. They follow the city's non-discrimination policy. It's open to everyone. Youth who register get put on a team if they're within deadline times. Each youth has an opportunity to play each game that they show up to play. Coaches receive some form of training each year that fosters positive youth development and a positive youth sports culture. And we can help provide information or resources for that type of training. Scholarships or other financial aid programs are provided and easily accessed. They'll need to report each year their numbers, and the park board can review the report and affirm the discount to continue. So I just wanted to share that, because when the turf working group came back and with a 52% increase approval, I was thinking, what are we going to do for our youth programs that run on those turf? And I know that the YMCA and the micro strikers, they were probably thinking the same thing. So that's the policy we developed. So the multi-use fields in neighborhood parks will increase from 1050 to 1150. Football and track, the football will increase from 1575 to 1725. Outdoor volleyball will increase from $4.50 per hour per court to $5 per hour per court. In section 1.12, the Moon Randolph Homestead, they did some consolidating on their fees. And basically they consolidated the special events and the wedding ceremony. So they reduced the wedding ceremony from $1,150 to $500 to match the special events fee. Our park shelters will all increase 10%. So we have different categories. We have facilities with power and without power, $47 to $51.50. And then without power is $42 to $46.25. All day, you get a little bit of a discount if you rent all day. Bonner band shell and the shelter, those will increase from $57 to $62.50. The silver pavilion will increase from $175 to $192.50, and the silver shelter from $86 to $94.50. How am I doing on time? I better rock.
I've got about 13, 14 minutes left.
I better rock here.
Well, I haven't seen any raised hands yet, but there could be some at the end. So
Yeah.
you're doing fine.
Okay, so so the metal, so these are all the fort shelters, and they will all increase as well. The Meadowlark, the Bitterroot, all of these shelters have power. The Bella Vista has a discount rate for kind of off time. So Monday through Thursday is a little less expensive than Friday through Sunday. And then we changed our prices on some of our amenities that we have at the fort, the tables, chairs, and the setup and takedown of tables and chairs, and or moving the picnic tables around to specific configurations for events. We added the mobile headquarters, which is a trailer that we use for tournaments. It will be $100 a day. We deleted the Ponderosa meeting room and plaza at the fort. We found that we need more office space and storage space over there. So it became problematic trying to rent that room. So it's basically offices now and or storage. The Sports and Wellness Center at City Life Gym, the whole section was deleted. City Life took over back over management of the gym, and we still have a very close partnership with them, and that was a good move. The amplified sound, I added the updated information from the ordinance that was passed earlier this past year. We're bringing Marshall Mountain on under an interim permit system. So for the next 18 to 24 months, we're gonna basically figure out how to manage this area and go through the public process of what we need to add to the area and how to manage all the resources there. So we broke the special use permit up into different categories in terms of small, medium, large, and extraordinary, and assigned a fee to those. We also had a surcharge if the entire area was going to be closed or the trails needed to be closed for an event. The area wouldn't be closed to the public, but we would close a trail because there's a lot of liability with having races and having the public on the course trying to recreate. So we also have a commercial outfitter educational permit, which is $2 a day per individual or $100, whichever is greater. And that $100 is for the season. So, and that mirrors our conservation lands permit for this same category. Youth sports team permit is $500 per season, and we define the season July 1 through December, and then January through June. The aquatics fees will all increase 50 cents. So, and we do have a different price set from Currents to Splash. We did that several years ago. We've got in hopes to capitalize on a lot of the tourist dollars that are coming through town. And a lot of people stop at Splash Montana. And remember, we do have a resident discount available. So in addition to that, we do offer a plethora of ways to get passes. So the more you buy, the less you pay. And on top of these prices you can do the resident discount as well. So we try to keep things pretty affordable for people. So this is generally just math. The daily fee times 30 times 20 with a discount times 10 with a discount. And then our season and annual rates, we base off of a number of swims and then discount that again. And then if you look at adding another discount from the resident discount fee onto that. So I think that the annual rates are pretty in line, and we do have scholarships available. The team and adventure course out here at McCormick Park will increase 10%. And that's basically wages, supplies, and we got hit with an increase on our annual inspection fee. Urban Forestry has revamped share program. And now the Missoula Urban Reforestation Program was added. It's $750 fee per tree. And the tree will pay for the purchase price and planting of the tree in the right of way adjacent to a person's house. And it'll also help fund costs associated with installing trees in underserved or unforested areas in Missoula. For each tree purchased, approximately $200 will be deposited in a scholarship fund to be used to increase reforestation rates in underserved areas throughout Missoula.
We've got a couple questions. Did you want to wrap up this slide, Shirley, and then we'll?
Yeah.
I have a feeling you may be on urban forestry. So
in the memorial tree dedication program also increase, and I'm going to bring Ben on at this port. Ben Carson is our urban forestry, and he can address some of these questions.
Okay, thank you. Heidi, you had a question?
Yeah, so my question just was, so if you're just pulling a permit, purchasing your own tree and hiring your own person to plant it, that permit would still be free, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Kristen.
Thank you. Isn't the cost now, like there's no charge for the city to come put trees in? Because I had a tree put in about 2 years ago and it was free. And so I'm wondering, how did we go from $0 to $750 a tree? Because I think this is going to be cost prohibitive for some folks.
I can. Well, yeah, go ahead. And there will still be a number of instances where we're installing trees within the right of way under our normal operating budget. This would be a situation where a resident is not specifically slated to get a tree because perhaps they are already in a heavily served neighborhood, or the tree is not a priority for this season. This allows them to pay a fee and basically get put on the list for that season, and it makes their location a priority. And it also helps to, again, fund these underserved areas, not only from a reforestation standpoint, but also from a maintenance standpoint. So there still is free replacement, and there still is free installation in underserved areas. This would just allow people who are potentially not in those areas to make themselves a priority in our program.
Yeah, and if I can add a little of that to Ben, Morgan Valiant here. This is replacing the cost share program. We're still going to plant a lot of trees. We're still going to follow our planting goals. We're still going to replace trees for free across the valley. The cost share program used to be, if you wanted an extra tree, you could pay to jump the list. And what we found was that people that had money were able to pay for those trees, and it would prioritize a planting in front of their house. And so what we've done is rework the program where we still have an option where if someone wants to get a tree, they can choose off the list, they can pay $750. The city will plant it. We'll put a water bladder on it. We'll make sure it lives. And then they'll also fund some of our reforestation goals in areas of town that have no trees or that are underserved, where folks can't afford to plant in that area. Our priority is to plant in those areas. And as a department, we are planting more trees in those areas for free or no cost. This is another mechanism to expand those programs.
Thank you.
Thanks for that information. So there's basically different tracks for getting towards the goal of getting a tree planted adjacent to your house. And honestly, it's been a couple of years and we have been down an urban forester. So I'm hoping at some point this spring, we can have an update on the urban forest, which I think is a fascinating topic and leads to so many quality of life issues and helps with our carbon sequestration and our keeping the valley cool. And I love the urban forest, all good, but okay, going on. Jennifer Savage, you had a question.
Thank you. My question is actually about the Marshall Mountain fee. So I'm happy to wait till the end of the presentation to ask it, if that's an easier fit.
I tell you, how many more slides, Shirley, do we have?
Just one more.
Why don't we, let me ask, Dan, did you have something on the urban forest or was it something different?
It was also the Marshall Mountain thing.
Okay, Shirley, you go ahead and finish and then let's take Jennifer and Daniel.
Okay, so Develop Parks added their memorial bench program, basically refurbishing existing benches and adding an option to pour an ADA pad at the site when accessible. It includes all the hardware and everything for those benches. The new dedication bench includes a 5-year general maintenance plan with it. So, and it includes the ADA pad, 2 plaques, and all the labor. And they're trying to move to this new standard throughout the system. So, okay. So let me move back up here to Marshall Mountain.
Okay, and Jennifer, you had a question.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for the presentation, Shirley. I'm just curious, given that Marshall Mountain is a new entity, how you all arrived at the prices that you've set, and when do you expect a public engagement process on the use of that land to start?
I'm going to let Morgan field this one.
Yeah, so a couple questions there. I think the first one is the public engagement process. Is that specific to our master planning for the site or specific to events and permitting events?
You know, I'd love to know about either one.
The public process has already begun. We've actually set records as far as numbers of people on Engage Missoula supplying, and we're about to have, within the next few weeks, there'll be a summary of our visioning process that we just wrapped up a couple of weeks ago. As far as the fees go, we really met with, and I can't remember, Shirley, I want to say there was close to 20 different outfitters and event planners in the room that have been running events up at Marshall. And we talked about what they've been historically doing. And then we developed these fees through that collaborative process. And every fee that is generated on this site, right now we've got an 18 to 24 month option to buy the property. And so the money that is generated from these permit fees is being earmarked and going back into management of the site. Currently the site, we don't have a management budget for it. And so this permit, these events are going to go back into the site and offset management costs. And all the event planners and outfitters that we met with that had been doing events up there for a decade or more. We're very excited to hear that.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks. Dan?
Yeah, I was concerned about the surcharges for where it says close entire area. I feel like this is a pretty popular recreation spot for Missoulians, and I feel like if people went there to recreate that day or had plans and then it was just suddenly all closed because somebody paid $750, just doesn't seem equitable, or just doesn't seem like what I think the community wants overall. So I was just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think that's a really good point. We had that same internal discussion, and in the master plan, I think we do need, and it's worth saying that this permit is for the next 2 years, and we're using it as a pilot time to develop what would be our master permit for the site if we in fact buy the property. There are events like large mountain bike races. We already have one that we know is submitting a permit for next year, where you have to close the trails for public safety. Spectators can still come and watch the event. You just can't go up there and ride around on your bike when they're holding a big national mountain bike race. Same kind of thing if they end up having a concert or something like that, where you have ticket prices, having the ability to do that. And so, we really explored. I don't think it's that $750 a day is gonna be triggered that often. And again, I just want to remind you, this is for the 2022 and 2023 season only. And it's our opportunity to test drive what makes sense up there. And if it doesn't make sense to allow that, then we won't allow it.
Great. Thanks, Morgan. I do want to note we're a little bit over time, but I'm going to keep going with the next couple of questions because it's been a really substantive presentation and I appreciate it and I hope people can stay. All right, next I had Mike Nugent.
Yeah, my question's back to the $750 trees. Trying to think of an example, I guess maybe Brook Street a few years ago by Rose Park. If a tree is sick in the right of way in front of someone's house, is it the city's discretion to remove that?
Yes, sir. It's a bit of a partnership. It's the city technically owns the tree, but occasionally.
So then, if the city comes in and removes it, would they replace a tree for free in that situation, or would the owner have to?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks.
Kristen?
Thank you. Morgan, I wanted to go back to the surcharges on Marshall Mountain. I'll just provide the caveat that I'm a data junkie and I love metrics. And I guess what I'm wondering is, what are the metrics that you're applying to see if these surcharges make sense? So when you say we're going to take the next couple of years to see if this structure makes sense, what are the parameters? How are you identifying what makes sense? How many days or too many days out of the year that somebody could potentially shut down Marshall Mountain if they had $750? I'd love to hear more about your metrics.
Yeah, and we're still developing those right now. We have been collecting data on site as far as usage goes. We are looking at doing some user surveys. I think in all essence, right now, the site is pretty rough. It doesn't provide amenities like indoor space. And so, so I think we're still working on those metrics. We do have reports that every outfitter and event planner gives us at the end of the season. So we at least know how many people they have, how many people participated. We will have before and after staff visit the site before and after and look at conditions and assessments, and then during events as well. That's kind of where we're at with metrics. I think in general, and it's important to note that behind every one of these fees is someone that's administering the permit. And if someone wants to hold an event and they're going to use the base area, we certainly say, it seems like the public can still get up on this trail. There's ways to get around that base trail. We also, in the parking plan, designate that if you have an event, you have to set aside set number of public spaces right up front at the trailhead for every event. And so, it's a moving model, and I'd happy to talk with you more offline about it as well.
Thank you. I guess one final question, sorry. Is that all right, Gwen?
Sure, just make it brief. I do have one public comment I want to call for.
Thank you. Yeah, I just am wondering, is there any data you can share with us right now as far as usage goes? Do you have anything that's kind of prepared, not in a raw state, that we could perhaps have a look at?
Not yet. We've got data loggers up on site. And so we did just pull those and got the data, and now we're doing a winter survey. And so we don't have anything available. It's not raw right now. So
thank you, Morgan. Thanks, Gwen.
Great, thank you. This is a pre-public hearing item. We're not voting on anything today. I did want to call for public comment, and Mr. Loomis, I see your hand is raised. You should be able to unmute yourself and talk.
All right, I should be unmuted.
There you go. We can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Shirley's used to me talking about these. She's been doing this presentation dutifully, and I will keep this brief because I know you guys are over time. The long and short of it is I'm speaking as a citizen. I'm a user of parks. I'm a seasonal employee of parks. I'm a contributor. I've had a long and I think pretty good partnership with Parks and Rec in many different ways. And for those that are new to council, I basically speak up on this every year and say, no, what are you guys doing? Don't stop it. I'm not going to get on about how taxes keep going up and fees keep going up, or that we already have a parks district, or that we literally, we already pay for these parks in theory with taxes. You all know that, but a 10% increase almost across the board is ridiculous. What it comes down to, and it's not, what I'm asking is not just that you as when this comes to the full council, not that just that you say, no, come back to us with something better. You as a council need to fund Parks and Rec better. And that's a challenge that I've said to most of you, definitely not the new folks, but this, I think it's a little ridiculous that we as a city, we say, hey, Parks and Rec, you've got to take on this, you've got to take on that. Now we're telling them to take on Marshall Mountain. We've told them to take on bridges. You've got to plow this, you've got to manage that. We're going to put in, what is it, a 30-some-odd million Fort Missoula Regional Park. We're not going to give you any funding to take care of it. That's not right. You guys have to do better. You have to do this right. If you want parks to maintain all these things, you need to give them the budget to pay the people to do it. One of the main reasons why they're asking for this increase is because it increased wages and benefits. They're not the ones deciding that. You guys decided that. You said you have to pay your people more. You said you have to pay them whatever the union negotiates, but you're not giving them more money to do that. And instead, you're putting it not on the general citizens, you're putting it on the people who are using the parks that you want them to use. So whether it's youth, whether it's adult, whether it's somebody taking a stroll in the park, it's not right. Speaking of that, if I want to go for a walk on a trail, I don't have to pay extra to use that. So why am I paying extra to use a soccer field or a softball field or anything like that? These are not specialty facilities for the most part. So I will come back and I will say this at every committee meeting. And when you guys have it up to vote, please vote against this and just fund them better. Thank you.
Great, thank you for the public comment. So we are over time. I appreciate everyone's patience and staff staying. We have no other questions or raised hands. This, I believe, Shirley, will be in front of council this coming Monday.
Correct.
Yes, great. Okay. Seeing no other raised hands or comments, thank you for everyone's time, and we will stand adjourned.
Thank everyone.
Take care.